Listen to me if you want to live. Quit being offended and listen. Travis Wayne Goodsell. Government is closed for the August recess. There's been no stimulus decided on, despite Trump thinking he was going to expand it with an act. And so, nothing for any of us. Evictions are in the process, with millions more expected by the end of the year. People have already been threatened that the eviction courts will open next weekend, or this weekend, I guess. It's Sunday, isn't it? So, Saturday. There are already people who have lost their jobs and they can't get jobs. People are being forced to go back to work if they want to survive. Yet, is that survival? By putting yourself at risk for getting the virus. Utah is not exempt. They started the football season because football is the thing in Utah. The BYU-Utah game is the big event every single year. And what happened when they started the high school practices and then the scrimmage games, or the starting of the games? I guess they start them before the school starts. We've got kids, football players with the virus. So what do you think is going to happen as a school? I heard Murray starts tomorrow. I saw that 18th was the first for some of them, but I didn't check all of them, and so I heard on ABC4 News Utah that Monday, tomorrow, school starts. What do you think is going to happen? It's not going to happen the first day necessarily. If they find out the first day, then that means that the kids have already had it previous to the first day. We're going to wait definitely by the weekend, next weekend. Kids, your kids, will have the coronavirus. And it causes damage. This isn't a cold or a flu or chicken pox. This causes damage to your heart, to your lungs, to other organs. And we don't know the long-term effects. But we do know it causes damage. We have Herbert, our governor and Mormon, who's purposely manipulating the numbers to go by the number of cases rather than the percentage of cases to testing. He can test 10,000 a day. He was supposed to test everybody as quickly as possible from the beginning. And instead he said, oh, yeah, if you have symptoms, come and get checked. What about those who are asymptomatic? What about those who show no symptoms until later, when it's too late? People have died because of Herbert's method of controlling this. We're in the red if you go by percentage. If you go by Herbert, oh, we're keeping it below 400. In the beginning, he said, oh, well, we're not going to open unless we can keep it below 200. And then I caught him in one of his briefings on Thursdays saying, oh, well, we need to open so people can go back to church. Which church is he talking about? Mormons. Then you have Nelson, who extorted the government leaders. This is why Herbert did the way he did. This is why he's doing case numbers so that he can manipulate the number of testing rather than do a percentage. Because if he did a percentage, we're still supposed to be locked up. Remember that? We were told in the beginning, we need to lock down, we need to stay home. And the government throughout this nation hesitated. They said, well, economy, we don't want to give people free stuff. They do it for big business. They just, the Federal Reserve says, oh, okay, there you go. That's what they did to save us in the 2008 collapse. Obama put us deep into debt and thus prevented it. But he gave it all to the big corporations. He bailed out companies that were going to go bankrupt. And so now under Trump, he's more than doubled what Obama added. He doubled what Obama got us to. Which means from before Obama to after Obama, we're over almost 27 trillion in debt. It wasn't too long ago that we reached 20 trillion. You just look at the United States debt clock. It's automatically running 24/7. You can look at it online. It's really cool. It's horrifying, but there's no concern because the Federal Reserve can just put out whatever money they want. And so the question is, why don't they give it to us? We the people. Why do they only do it for big businesses? If it doesn't matter because we don't use a gold standard, there is no counterbalance for the amount of money, so technically we're not in debt. To pay the debt, we just print more money. There's nothing beholden us for the debt. And so by giving it just to the rich are able to turn that into physical property. They're nice, lavish mansions, etc. Trump came out yesterday, as I heard from PBS News and other sources that confirmed it, that Trump said yesterday in his presidential rally that the election this year will not be known for months or years. Months or years. Oh, this is his first term. He can keep on going. It's not like it was his second term and that the Speaker of the House would then have to fill in. And again, government is gone for August recess. I hope you used your stimulus money for an emergency kit, a survival kit. I'm sure you know about Joseph Smith warning of the last days. The Constitution would hang by a thread. Elders of Israel would save it. Notice it's elders, not the president of the church. Amos 3:7 says, surely the Lord God will do nothing save he shall reveal his secrets unto his servants the prophets. Brother Guerrero, who was once Samuel the Lamanite, did a video back in 2016 that I went over yesterday, where he went over Kimball's Faith Precedes the Miracle, and unfortunately you're not supposed to use those as authoritative sources. Only conference. Remember, Mormons? Only the president of the church. Remember, Mormons? How we have strayed from that thinking. Oh, any prophet can tell us things and give us commandments and revelations, because they're all prophets, seers, and revelators. Have you forgotten you can't serve more than one master? Who are you going to listen to when they contradict each other? Oh, Oaks figured that one out. All 15 of us have to be united before you can believe any one of us. And so now conference is null and void, and only the messages to the world are to be adhered to. And so thus all of Joseph Smith's words, all of the scriptures, even the words of Jesus, null and void. Thank you, Oaks. But wait a minute. You're not the president of the church either, and you're not in a collection with all 15. See where he goes astray there. So those little things you got to pay attention to. So Elder Benson, when he did the fundamentals of the prophet, and everybody says, "Oh, I'm only going to listen to the living prophet." Do you understand that you've just dismissed the keystone of our religion? The Book of Mormon. The keystone. You're not getting nearer to God by abiding to anyone else but the Book of Mormon. Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28 specifically. And it's just, people just don't think. They don't follow it through, what words mean. Plug anything anybody says, anything you read, anything you hear, anything you think you're thinking, into Alma 32, starting in verse 28. And you can discern right from wrong, lies from truth. And instead you'd go around your own will, your own thinking, your own beliefs, your own feelings. Parable of the 10 virgins that Brother Guerrero was associating with had to do with testimony. Olive oil is not something you just receive. You have to have the seed, you have to plant it, you have to grow an olive vine, and then you have to take the olives once they're ripe and press them in an oil press. Gethsemane, cute little Claire Ryan. And then you have oil. That's a lot of work, that's a lot of time. That's why it says that when the bridegroom was approaching, those who were the wicked virgins weren't prepared. You can't be prepared in the last second. You can't do deathbed repentance. It doesn't work that way. The prophets are silent. The calamities are here, but it's going to get worse, if you can even imagine it. That's why I'm here to warn you. Because nobody else is. I'm not hearing any other Mormon warn you. I'm not hearing the prophets warn you. Mormons are waiting for the prophets to warn them. The prophets, what are they doing? Temple, temple, temple. We're opening the temples. We're phase 2 for most of them. Come to the temple. Get sealed. Get your endowments. Go on missions. Temple, temple, temple. Seriously? We're still in the midst of the coronavirus, which was the coronavirus of Egypt when Moses was involved in the Exodus. Moses, in his office, is supposed to be Nelson. Moses told the house of Israel to stay home until the coronavirus passed over. During Passover, with the dedication of the Kirtland Temple, Joseph Smith was visited by Elijah and Moses. Why would he need those keys if the keys of the kingdom were given to him by Peter, James, and John? Aren't the keys of the kingdom the keys of Moses and the keys of Elijah to seal and bind and loose and unloose and break and shatter family lives? Unloose? Yeah, the keys of the kingdom were not the keys of the kingdom. Moses was the keys of the kingdom. The keys that Peter, James, and John gave were to preach the gospel. That's it, that's all. To establish churches throughout the world. It was not the keys of the kingdom, because Kirtland Temple tells us otherwise. And so why do we now think that? The prophets tell us that. Why? Oh yeah, Brigham Young. He was in the missionary 12. He, according to section 124, was given the keys of the kingdom to preach. You have to take in the full wording. You can't cut off the sentence. Only Joseph and Hiram, his brother, were prophets, seers, and revelators. Hiram, as the older brother, became the patriarch after the death of their father. Joseph had translator as his unique thing. And there's more to it that I've been trying to get across to you, but you are offended. Over and over and over again, Mormons are offended. You refuse to listen. You're waiting for Nelson to tell you what to do. You're waiting to be compelled by him when he has neglected to tell you about the signs. Munson neglected to tell you about the signs, but he was on his deathbed. So maybe we can get away with that? I mean, he became part of the signs even. I'm just trying to save your lives. And so, on the 28th of this month, I will be silenced. I have to shut down my internet. That's the last day. That's the billing period. So that on the 29th, it needs to be off. I mean, technically, I'm going to the streets and won't be able to pay for anything, and so people will just not get paid. I mean, we could do it that way. But 28th is the last day, and I'll be silenced. 31st, I have to be gone. And so, I'm packing, sort of. I haven't started yet. I did start on that Tuesday when I was thinking that I was supposed to leave. Then I got sick, and then they extended it. And so as a result, I'm able to do this video for you. I'm able to warn you to start packing, because you're not going to be able to do any packing when it comes. The calamities that will cause an exodus. You will not be staying in Utah. It's likely the temple of Salt Lake will not be fulfilled as Brigham Young wanted it, as Nelson is trying to make it. As history has informed us, the Jerusalem temple didn't last either. Twice over. So here's the New Jerusalem temple. Sort of. See, for the past 4 years I've been warning, and I've been preparing, and I've been early. And it's a good thing I'm early, but by being early, people say, "Oh, nothing happened, Travis." Are you still saying that now? Seriously? Things are happening now, but it's going to get worse. There's going to be a reason for Utah Mormons to leave. They're not going to be like me, where I'm being forced out. I'm the one who's warning you. That's why you want me out. Instead, there's going to be something that you might not be able to pack if you haven't packed already. You're not going to be able to get a U-Haul. You're going to have to take what you can and dump it in your vehicles and go. You're going to need to hope that your vehicles are full of gas, because if you have to stop at a gas station, then there are those who don't have vehicles. What are we going to do? I mean, if you filled your car up, you have no room for anybody. What about the poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted? The elderly, the pregnant? Something's coming. It's been prophesied. Even Joseph Smith prophesied it. And so, whatever it is, it's going to come from the west. Because Mormons need to go east. I did this before because I thought something might come, and it turned out to be something else, and they hesitated and delayed. Trump loves to do that kind of stunt, because then he can turn to the press and say, "Ah, see, you're fake news." He wants it done. He tried to get it done, but it didn't get done. The press reported it, and so then Trump was able to turn it to his advantage. Fake news. And then he goes and does it. Fake news, you said? What? Huh. So, make sure you're ready to leave at a moment's notice. See, I was going to do Book of Mormon lessons today, but then too many of you know me as an LDS critic. And so I was going to put in a little segment at the beginning saying, if you like listening to Book of Mormon lessons from me, do not go to my other videos. Focus on, and I can't do that. I can't lie and deceive Mormons. I can't lead them astray. I can't do it. It's not in my nature. And so, yeah, I have to be myself with you guys. So pack. Be prepared. For me, I have to pack everything. I have it prioritized. First, the unused items, books that I'm not utilizing, stuff like that. which is interesting because if nothing happens, if we continue to be tortured, then it's the necessary stuff that I would need to take with me first. First shall be last, last shall be first. But for right now, I don't have to leave. I have time. And so the unused stuff will be packed first. Any extra clothes, the books, stuff I'm not using, I have games, board games, that type of stuff. The second phase is the stuff that I would like to do something on, but I'm so backlogged I haven't gotten to it. So there's these ancient astronomy books that I wanted to get to, so those would be packed second. On top, if there's room in the boxes of this unused stuff, so that I can have easy access to them if I do have time to get to something. And then last, all I'd have left is the necessary stuff that I use on a regular basis that hadn't gotten finished, like food. I have to have food, and so whatever food is not eaten would then get packed at the last moment. That's my method. You can do it any way you want, but just do something and think of the future. Think about what might happen and be prepared for that scenario. That's what our government was supposed to do for us, that they were supposed to have all these scenarios in place, that when this came around, and they already had a group that was involved in that. They already knew what to do, and Governor Herbert didn't listen to them. He didn't listen to the medical doctors. He's in on it against us. Remember, you guys know about QAnon, right? That the Democrats and Hollywood elites are trying to destroy the world with pedophilia and eating babies and murder and sex slavery and all that stuff. And Trump is supposed to be the savior who's getting rid of the deep state that he hired in the first place. When you become president, you hire your own people. And Trump fired them all. And then he keeps firing the people he hires to replace them. So who's deep state? Trump's deep state. But in my day, under the Bushes, it was all about the Illuminati taking over the world. 1,000 Points of Light, New World Order Ministry, I think is the name of the group. A New World Order, New World Order. And then the 9/11 with Mountain Meadows Massacre, same day. Same day as Poppy Bush as a CIA agent going down to Chile and overthrowing the government. That used to be our concern, was Republicans. And during Republicans, they were all concerned, they're going to take over Walmart. It's a code for martial law. And they're going to lock us up and re-educate us and enslave us to the system and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what they did at the southern borders? When the regular detention centers were filled, they used Walmarts until they could build the tent city in detention centers. Walmarts. They're all just playing mind games with us. So, it's already 30 minutes, so I'll end it here. Just be prepared, guys. That's all you have to do. because the prophets aren't talking to you. They're silent. And in fact, they're trying to hurt you by trying to focus you on going to the temple when you should be preparing for destruction that's coming.